Gets me every time. I love that intro. Greetings, everyone. How are we all doing? We are here to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever for a very honest discussion. We'll cover some other bits and pieces, but the main bulk of today's stream will be about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I have my co-host, Paulie from the Latino Slant. You'll find a link to his channel down below. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm good. The last time I checked, I'm still white
Last time you
passing.
checked.
I'm a white
Ah,
passing
yes.
Latino,
Yes,
and
because there's...
I have a colonized mind
Yep,
uh,
yep.
because of my feelings on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Amazing.
It's
Absolutely
amazing.
amazing. It is
Uh,
amazing. Yeah, I mean that'll be one of the points of conversation I think about this movie.
yeah,
Yeah, I the reason why we're talking about this today, ladies and gents, is because I only managed to watch this on Friday, and then subsequently, because I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I actually haven't had a chance to do a proper conversational discussion about this, whilst other people and individuals have seen it at the same time. So, me and Paulie have both seen this. Tom, the other co-host, and Nick from Echo Base Network haven't, I believe. They'll be coming on a little bit later anyway, so it's not such a big deal. But that's why we're talking about it today. And then I think
yeah.
as well, this is an interesting reference point. We'll start talking about it today because I think next week will be quite telling in the streams because we'll have the second week drop off. Now, I think the second week drop off is going to be huge. And it comes to it comes to a few reasons, but one of the reasons is what you just alluded to is people being really quite racist in defending this film to people that just don't like it for valid reasons. And it is racism, what people are saying. I've been called a colonizer. That's racist, it is. You've been called, well, do you want to say the stuff you've been called? I mean, it's pretty,
Oh yeah. I
pretty
mean, just
disgusting.
like a white passing Latino, me and Mexican Iron Man, for having our opinions and hanging out with Mr. H or with Midnight's Edge, that we should be embarrassed because we're Latino. Obviously this
You're,
comes
you're
out
not
when
real Latino, is what it is. That's the thing.
I'm not dark enough apparently to them. Um, but this only comes out when it's like a movie. We're talking about movies and TV. We're talking about entertainment, right? So if you don't kiss their ass or like it how you want they want you to like it, and
Mm.
representation matters, and that's all that matters, then you're the problem. And so yeah, I guess I'm part of the problem. I'm happy to be here.
You are, you absolute fiend, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to
Fiend.
repeat the stuff that they've said because, as I
Yeah.
maintain, you will never hear me say anything racist on this channel. Like, I think racism is abhorrent. I think it's disgusting. I don't want to repeat the stuff that you've been called. It's awful. Um, just as it is some of the stuff that I've been called. It's disgraceful stuff, and that's why I think that the second week drop off is going to be huge. And I think let's talk about that first and foremost before we get on to your actual review of it, because as a Latino, I want your opinion on the film in and unto itself. I want you to spend some time on it, but I do think that the second week drop off is going to be huge, and I think a contributing factor of that is the sort of social stigma surrounding the film. You know, Outside of the film itself, I don't think it has rewatch value, which we'll get onto anyway. But do you see any of the sort of social pressures of this film and the stigma and the individuals sort of defending it? Do you see that as a catalyst for a drop off being quite substantial?
Uh, there's so many reasons why this movie is failing.
Mm,
And I think the most telling is, the what's always been up front the last few years is they didn't recast T'Challa.
yeah.
That's
There's
that's
a
that's
movement
it.
now, isn't there, on Twitter?
It's
Hashtag
it-
recast T'Challa.
yeah, this gentleman named Eman Reviews. I think he started about 2 years ago, and he's picked it up again. And he's been having some amazing panels,
Mm,
amazing talks, just on the absence of black men and sons in this. And that was such a focal point of honor and betrayal in the first Black
mm.
Panther,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The
But so
completely
what?
Yeah.
But so I was going to say, so why do you think? that this film in particular is getting such vitriol, to any of its detractors. I don't remember. I remember there being a substantial amount for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one was particularly amazing or anything like that. And I said so in my review. I said it had awful CGI because it did. Like the final fight was that of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man level CGI. It was terrible stuff. And I remember getting abuse back then, but not to this degree. And I don't know whether that's a byproduct of the movie itself or a byproduct of the highly divisive sort of time that we live in, and the sort of tribalistic nature of everyone at this point in time. Everyone has a wedge right down the middle
Mm-hmm.
of societies. It seems we're sort of drawing our lines, and the lines are being drawn across racial barriers nowadays. Do you see any of that? Is that your sort of perception on this? What do you think?
I mean, that's the age we're living in right now. People, there's a small contingency that has a loud mouthpiece that are just obsessed with the exteriors, the skin, the gender. I don't know what that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Mm,
So when that's all that matters, we're seeing now with this movie is that the story and the what could have been is completely set to the side. And so I was telling you that, so there's that whole detractors, right?
mm,
They're just upset just because of T'Challa not being recast. Um, Then there's the comic book purists that don't like the changes of Namor.
mm,
Mm, then there's that group of Latinos, which I'm hearing more and more from them. They're not happy with this, with what they saw.
mm.
Um, and then there's people who are like, also as well, that just think it's a badly made film, and I
Yeah.
think, it's incredibly long. And I don't think the word of mouth is good. I just sent you that note right now in the private chat. I don't know if you got to read it, but
Yeah, so you said Wakanda Forever dropped 73% on Monday to, what was that, 11 million domestic?
let me see.
So,
That's what yeah, 11 million. Yeah. So
so
this
you
is
say
from
it's
Valiant
gonna
Renegade. This is Valiant Renegades.
800 million total run, might now be off the table. The film appears heavily front loaded beyond even what I had imagined.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean this is going back to kind of what I was saying about its second week drop. I think the second week drop is going to be huge. I mean, we're in the second week, obviously, it's going. Um, but I think the second week
Mhm.
drop is going to be absolutely massive. And again, I'm going back to the sort of vitriol and nastiness that is coming from people that really like the film. Obviously, it's not everyone. I understand that,
Mhm.
but there does seem to be this sort of bizarre intrinsic defense. It's like a knee jerk reaction that people are having to try and defend this film, and they're throwing out. And I think it's also their level of defense for this film is a projection of what's within the film as well, to a certain degree. Like there are lines of dialogue where they allude
Mhm.
to white people being colonizers, which is a racist
Mhm.
term. In the film it's done as a joke. It still wouldn't be the same if I did it to a black person and called you a cotton picker, right? It wouldn't be laughed at in a film, certainly not in a Marvel film, and it probably wouldn't be entertained in modern day Hollywood. So there is
No.
an element of double standard there, but I do feel that the individuals really defending this film are projecting, that sort of racial divisiveness which is in the film outwards in its defense, hence being called, like you are being called, not white passing Latino. What even is that? I mean, what a pile of nonsense. Me being called a colonizer and all this stuff for simply saying, hey, this film's a bit overlong. Hey, I feel, the way they killed T'Challa wasn't particularly respectful. Hey, this is a plot hole. Like nothing racial about those things, and yet you get called racially, racial
Well,
slurs.
that's like it's an ignorant oxymoron, right? A white
Mm,
passing Latino.
yeah,
What? Who comes up with these
Jesus.
things? Um, so yeah, no, I'm with you. I thought the second weekend was going to, hold pretty good.
Yeah,
But after seeing that note from Valiant and just really now the other people are speaking out about its problems. It's
yeah.
probably not going to do too well.
No, I don't think so. And I do think that second week drop is going to be um, a substantial drop off. And I think, again, it comes
Hmm.
down to quite a few things. Um, the film itself, the sort of general culture. I think the individuals that wanted to, like, desperately wanted to watch the film, I think they would have gone out and watched it. It doesn't really have that much of a rewatch value. I think there are certain individuals that I know have simply watched this film just to pay respects. Again,
Mm,
it goes to what I was saying to on the lead up to this film, is that I feel like this film has guilt tripped a bunch of people into viewing it because it is a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And so it is Marvel profiting off of his death, because people that ordinarily wouldn't be going to watch it, and I've had comments from them, have
mhm.
now gone to watch it. But I think because the first week is full of all those people, and because it doesn't have that much rewatch value, I think it's going to be 60%, maybe even more, as a drop off for its second week. I mean, what's your prediction for its second week drop off?
I mean, I thought percentage wise maybe 60, 65, but it's probably going to be higher.
Oh, okay,
And
65. Wow, yeah, big prediction there then.
I think
Big prediction.
I thought, yeah, I don't see it making 800, much less, maybe 600 million. It's made 350,
Mm.
what, 350 million worldwide?
So it's 330 million across the whole weekend. I don't know what it's taken in now. I'm not sure. I don't keep track of it outside of its sort of weekend runs.
Right, right, like
I,
Valiant
I
does.
total it up every single week, not day by day.
Hmm.
So it had crossed 330 million. 350 sounds like it might have done that for sure. If it's
Okay.
done 11 million on a Monday, that's 340 odd, plus
So
worldwide another
even if it
10. I could
doubles its
imagine
money,
350.
so Nate, even if it doubles it, it's only 700
Mm.
million, right? I mean,
Yeah,
is it
that,
really going to do that?
well, but even 700 million, so it had like a budget of 250 odd $1 million.
Yeah.
I know it had $100+ million
Hmm.
promotional campaign with other brands. That was revealed, I think it was in Deadline today, did an article on it. So we know that there's at the bare minimum, you're looking at, just for argument's sake, $400 million for production marketing costs, right? But there'll be more, because that's just brand deals. There'll be more on top of that, I would imagine.
Hmm.
So standard marketing up higher. You've got 40% theatre cuts on top of it. It has to make a lot of money to be considered
Yeah.
profitable.
Let
A
me.
lot of money. I don't think it's going to. Um,
Well, that's just
in
the whole thing,
fairness,
right? There's, without a true star,
mm.
right?
Well, that's the
Whether
thing.
it's a
Where's the
male,
lead? There is no
right?
lead.
Whether it's male or female, without a
Mm.
true leading star, who's going to come back to this?
Yeah.
And the word of mouth, like the word of mouth, so
Mm.
um I'm trying to.
Well, I think, whilst you're looking
Mhm.
up that, let's
Yeah, I'm trying to
let's get
look
Nick.
something up. Hey,
We'll
Nick.
get Nick into the chat. How you doing, good sir?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
Oh
Good.
goodness, you are you phoning in today? Your audio is a little bit tinny there, good sir.
Oh, is it?
A little bit. Might be coming through the webcam by the sounds of it, or something like that. If you've got one plugged in.
Hang on. Let me look at my settings.
Whilst we do that, let me just address the chat. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me for our Tuesday show. If you want to support the show, please do. Super stickers, super chats, memberships to the channel. It goes a long way, helps literally keep the lights on and get these shows going. But I will say this as well. This type of show, in the context of what we're talking about today, not going to be well liked, by the broader spectrum of individuals on YouTube. So please do give the video a big thumbs up. Would massively appreciate that, and will really help out.
Is
But
this
first things
better,
first.
by the way?
That's much better.
Okay.
we,
Yeah,
we got.
it was on another microphone.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't its usual self. So we got a super sticker from Al Humphreys. Thank you for joining me, old buddy. Hope you're well for £10. Thank you so much. I know we had one from Tom Working for $5, and he says, Mr. H, has there been a lot of things racist? Look, I can refer you to hardcore, not okay racism. H isn't a deconstructionist with a perspective. Yeah, I mean, nothing I've said has ever been that at all. I think that's kind of what you were getting at there. I always do enjoy your comments. Interestingly worded for sure. Nikki, the Latina in the chat. So we've got the Latino slant, and we've got the Latina in the chat. Nikki for $10 says the fact that people keep telling me that Laymore is Latino, so I should care is so dumb, boring character, and I don't care about being represented in a Marvel film. Yeah,
Well, and that's right on, Nikki. Is like, don't you feel represented now? I mean, you guys gonna go? I mean, it's kind of offensive, man. It's like,
right?
Chill, and like, sure, maybe I'll go check it out. I don't know what. I'm a Tenoch Huerta fan first as an actor. That was my my reason, and it piqued my interest that it's a Mesoamerican retelling. However, as we got closer and closer to the opening day, I just got really cautious over all the info and everything that I was hearing, and then finally seeing from the film. But to assume that, that's like saying, hey, your number one issue in life should be this, or you should care about undocumented people coming over. What's that?
I said, are you not happy you're not on a screen? Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's, you should be happy because we've put this character on a screen that is tangentially related to you, I guess. And that's the point that they're making, isn't it? It's a tangential relation to you as an individual.
We checked the box on this movie,
Yeah, precisely. I mean, but Paulie, so as a Latino, does that level of representation matter to you in a Marvel movie? What's your opinion on that? Does Namor is Namor's presence in the film, was that a draw because it was representation? What's the deal there?
Like I said, I find it interesting that they went to Aztec and Mayan mythology to create their version of Namor. Okay, so yeah, that I find that cool, right? But I'm not like, okay, that doesn't mean it's gonna be a great film, and I'm not gonna like it just because it's a shitty film and they have great headdresses from the Yucatan.
Oh, are you sure?
I mean,
you sure the headdress doesn't do it for you?
You feel me? I've seen those better headdresses on Aztec dancers at Olvera Street, downtown LA.
So I got a question for Paulie too. Was the execution for the Latinos in this movie done well, or was that bad?
I don't know what that means, Nick. I don't know what that means. That execution for the Latinos, like, be a little more specific.
Like the representation of the characters that they used in this. Was the execution of the representation of the narrative that they were portraying for the characters accurate or done well?
Well, these are fictional people.
Yeah.
Right? They're technically not Latino. I mean, they're fictional.
Okay. I haven't seen the movie. So.
No. It's all right. It's all right. Mayan, and then they eat the herb, and then they become they can't breathe on land. They got to go down below, and they become these blue people. So that is the real lame origin of Talokan.
Oh, they turn into Smurfs?
Returning to
Did
the
not- I-
Na'vi from Avatar.
I did not know this.
Start.
Well, I would have been happier if Namor shows up with some fish tacos and like, hey, come on, let's talk, let's have some food and let's work
talk
it
it out.
out. I
have a
got
s-
some tamales and we could chill.
Have a few-
But it was cool. It was cool to hear the language, the Mayan dialect excuse me, the Yucatan dialect of Maya, of the Mayan language. It was cool to hear, especially when they were like, well, there were some scenes where they were either mourning a loss or getting angry or battle cries. Those were pretty effective. I don't know um, Maya. I definitely know a lot of Nahuatl words. You guys know Nahuatl words. If you say if you say the word avocado, that's Nahuatl. That's native.
Right.
That's a native root. Just like you root. What's it called? The etymology of words, right? Coyote, vaquero. That's actually vaquero is a coyote. Avocado, chili, chocolate.
Yeah. Okay.
All those words are Nahuatl words.
Right? So it's nice to hear that then.
What's that?
Nice. So I guess to build off of Nick's question, from that perspective,
it was for me. Okay. For me, it was cool to hear that. There was a couple.
Did it feel cheap? Did it feel cheap? I get. Is that what Nick's really asking? Is that what you're asking? Did the representation feel cheap?
Yeah.
Overall, did it feel like a cheap knockoff of Latino culture?
What I'm citing didn't feel cheap, right?
No, but the overall.
No, overall there were some major problems. Yeah.
Right. So it did feel cheap in terms of its position in a film to give Latinos representation. That as a product felt cheap. Is that what you're asking, Nick? Is that am I right?
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So did it feel cheap as a product being put there?
This is the problem, is that when it's a half measure, it becomes a stereotype.
That's
right. And and this is the problem that Hollywood doesn't know how to tackle. Okay, is that stereotypes at the root of stereotypes are truth. That's why Narcos Mexico is so amazing, or Narcos, because all of these people are killers. They're all bad people. But we're so enraptured with their human story of what's going on and their conflict, and the fact that they're all whatever, Mexican or Colombian. It's a plus, but you're just like, oh my God, this is incredible. All Wocosos in Hollywood, all they see is, oh, I hate us playing drug dealers again. Let's be the superhero with we'll do half-assed measures, and that's what this has become, guys.
Well, so that was the problem that some people had with Rambo Last Blood, was that Rambo went to Mexico to the cartels and they were criminals, and people were like, it's just portraying Mexicans as criminals. It's like, no, portraying the Mexican cartels as criminals.
Correct.
Because they are.
Right. Then they had Paz Vega, who was a very strong female in the film. God. Remember her character? Did she get killed at the end of the day in that film?
I think most people got killed. I can't remember.
Yeah,
well,
I think
the female
who
was helping Rambo out, the Latina.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, but she was a good character. Like, there was good Latino characters.
Yeah, of course they were.
And then there was that interesting, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but there was that interesting thing where Rambo and his lady friend, who was a Latina, where she only spoke Spanish and he spoke back. He understood and spoke back in English. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was, because that happens a lot.
Yeah,
but it's Rambo, good guys and bad guys.
It reminded me of Han and Greedo talking. He was talking in another language, and Han just would respond back in English.
But going back to stereotypes, is, Hollywood they don't know how to, you know, they don't know how to fully embrace them without being embarrassed. It's just, it's like, they asked, the comic Gabriel Iglesias, they call him Fluffy, big fat
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And he's huge, right? He sells out stadiums now. I mean, he's like
Hmm.
like really big comedian, and he's big. He was the voice of Speedy Gonzalez for Space Jam Legacy, and there was a whole controversy. They were trying to cancel the character, and Gabriel said, "Hey, this is me, Gabriel Iglesias, the voice of Speedy. You can't cancel what you can't catch, because I'm the fastest mouse in the West." I loved it, right? It was so fucking great. Great post. We covered it. And in his new stand-up, he talks about how the studio executives
Yeah.
wanted to handle him, right?
Ah,
They're like,
okay.
could you, not do it with an accent? And he's like,
What was the
why?
point of being hired then?
Right. But like,
Yeah.
that's how we sound. Why are you afraid of our accent like that?
But so this relating it back to Wakanda Forever, it's that half measure situation,
Yes.
isn't it? That's the so I
That's
guess
the
the
connective
representation
tissue.
becomes somewhat insulting because it's a half measure, right? Like do
It's
it right, or don't do it at all. Is that,
right.
I
It
guess,
can
the sort of,
exactly no, yeah. Do it, and I've said that. Do it right or don't do it at all. And here, whose
yeah,
fault is it? Is it Kugler's fault? Is it Feige's fault? Is it who meddled
yeah,
who did this? Because I found some of what Namor was doing and what they made him do totally offensive.
yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Sure.
Good segue, because we'll get to your specific review. Let's just get to the last two super chats. And again, everyone watching the stream, please do hit that thumbs up. Night King 01 sent $4.99 and says, ignoring all the stuff surrounding this movie, I don't understand who likes this. It has fundamental flaws that would ruin any other movie. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And someone asked me on Twitter was that if this film, had a predominantly white cast, do I think that it would be getting the praise that it is now? And I was like, well, no, I don't think it would, to be fair. Like, I genuinely don't think it would. So Austin Smith again for $4.99 says, I went to the theaters to watch and support One Piece film Red instead of Wakanda.
Wokianda.
Wokianda.
Oh wait, no,
Forever.
Wakanda. Yeah.
Wakanda. Yeah, did I? Wakanda Forever. Yeah, I've heard One Piece is actually very good. I wish
I'm
I'd
gonna
seen
go
that
see that.
instead as well. But
Yeah.
alas, I have to cover some of this stuff for this channel. Which I think, so again, thank you all for the super chats. If you want to support, join in the conversation, please do. Super chats go a long way. They literally help keep the lights on. But I think now, Paulie, as a Latino, I'm going to hand this directly over to you now. And I want your review of the film. So everything you want to talk about, I want your opinion. I want your review. As a Latino, I want your opinion. Go for it. Give us your review.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. H, and everyone in the chat. Uh, I completely, as a Latino, speak for just one Latino, and that's me, right? And in my case, I'm a Chicano, which is a Mexican, born in America, with different views on certain things. Let's just say, right? So that's where I'm seeing it. And one of the things that us as Chicanos have done is that we are so interested in our Mexican history that we've tunneled back, to where I actually minored in it in college, because we felt kind of like disconnected, or we weren't really fully American, we weren't really fully Mexican. That's one of the phenomenons of growing up Chicano, right? So whenever I see Hollywood trying to do a film or release something that has a Latino storyline in it, I cover it for the channel. This is why I started the channel, as far as the Latino slant, to really celebrate, entertain, and enlighten as far as facts on history whenever I can. Wakanda Forever has so many problems with it, just on a storytelling and film competence, filmmaking competence, that the the Namor subplot is actually the least of my offenses, right? I cannot stand bad storytelling. I didn't like how they handled the T'Challa death. He should have gone out on his sword, not from some, and in full spoilers here, not from some bizarre illness. It cheapened him and his legacy, which means it cheapened Chadwick Boseman and his legacy. That's just how I feel. Um, I wondered why at this funeral not a single Avenger was there, because whether he was an Avenger or not, the Avengers and Wakanda fought Thanos' armies on Wakanda. This is huge. This is a big deal. You know, that's you united by your band of brothers who you go into battle with. Why weren't any of them there? Was it budget? Color of their skin? I don't know what. When I say the storytelling, it's not that the storytelling was awful. It's that the storytelling was completely disconnected from 20 minutes to the next 20 minutes to the next 20 minutes. It was almost as if it was like 3 or 4 uh, Disney Plus shows put together. And that makes sense because there's so much that they're trying to do for the next Disney Plus shows or whatever, you know. The camera work I found to be incredibly lazy at sometimes. I was in shock when I saw the scene where Namor comes out of the water. First time you see him, and it looks as if they didn't bother renting a soundstage. They said let's rent the local theater at the high school. We'll put some sets up. I want you actors to hit your marks. Say your lines over your shoulder when you're talking to each other. I'll film you. You guys will look great. That's what that scene was, and it was not good. It 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 came off as stereotypes for all of them, for all of them. And in that lazy, filmmaking, set pieces, I saw more than once. The lighting was off. Sometimes it was too dark. Sometimes it was too bright. And my nitpicking, maybe on those issues, but on the plot holes, as far as storytelling, no, no. What I liked, and I'm gonna get this is before I get to the Namor stuff. What I liked. There's 3 emotional points that I liked, and none of them had to do with Namor. I love the Marvel intro where it paid homage to Chadwick. It was very classy. That had nothing to do with the film. It was the intro to it was their Marvel intro that they do in all their films. That hit me. I was very like, it got me, because you think of Chadwick and you think of how young he was taken from us, and it boom, the next time I got really excited, and the audience, it was the biggest audience excitement collective, was when Michael B. Jordan showed up as Killmonger in Shuri's dream. Oh my God, that was amazing. I loved it. He was, that's the, it was almost like if you're, it was the feeling as that I had been without water for days in the desert, and it starts to rain, and I'm like, it's raining. Oh my God, this water is amazing. And then it stops raining. That's what the Michael B. Jordan thing was. And then I like the Prince T'Challa thing at the end. I thought that was lovely. I wish the son had a father. Again, going back to recast T'Challa, black men, fathers and sons, so pivotal in the first movie. Whether the first movie was a great superhero movie, that's debatable, but it was so identity specific that any father and son loved what the themes that they were getting across. Here was just a collective mess. Sometimes they knew how to run a country, sometimes they didn't. They lied to each other. The queen exiled or what did downgraded Okoye, and then dissed her in front of everyone and talking bad about her husband. I'm like, what? This woman has given everything to this country. Okay, so I think you get where I'm coming from as far as like my love for film in general and story. It's got to be about the story, guys. We can be forgiven on a lot of things, right? I can be forgiving on lazy camera work if the story is great. I can be forgiving about cheap looking sets if the story's great. I can be forgiving if the actors are competent, if the story, or if the actors are decent, but the story is great. The actors were actually doing their best with what they had. Sans Riri. I was not a fan of Riri, not a fan of this actor's portrayal of it. Nothing personal. That's me. Angela, Lupita, Shuri, Letitia Wright, God level. I loved them. I loved them. I didn't like what they were doing with Shuri. I loved anytime Lupita was on. Why did they wait almost an hour to have Lupita back in this movie? I thought one of the most authentic moments was when she kind of goes undercover as a archaeological student of sorts in Mexico, and she's speaking Spanish to the natives, trying to find traces of Namor. And then the switch to Mayan. I thought that was awesome. I loved it. Okay. Now, my pros and cons with Namor. I like what Tenoch did. I did. I thought he was much more uh, in the quieter moments when he's with Shuri. There were some nice nuggets of exchange there, and the dialogue was decent. I really liked it when he was talking in Mayan to his other telecons. I find that language to be very menacing, powerful, and then at times vulnerable and sweet when he was saying goodbye to someone that was killed. Those were really cool moments. I'm not crazy about the origin. I'm obviously not crazy about this half-told colonizer story, because if he goes and is the avenging son, why did he not take the rest of those bonded and enslaved Mayans back with him into the ocean? Drink of this herb and come with me. They didn't do that. It's this is the problem when you're dealing with real world and real history from the past, and you're trying to make it part of this superheroes lore. And that's kind of also the problem that I had with this, is that why are you calling him Namor? He's Quetzalcoatl. He's a feathered god. It's there. It's wings. I mean, just name him that, right? That would have been a lot more connected in actual Aztec and Mayan lore, because that god is shared. Mayans call him Kukulkan. The Aztecs call him Quetzalcoatl. So again, a lot of missed opportunities here. A lot of missed opportunities here. I don't know why he spoke English. No one else, none of the other Talakans speak English. He didn't grow up speaking English at all. Why was he speaking English? Where did he learn? Where did he learn another colonizer's language? How cool would that have been if he just spoke Mayan? Like, I'm not going to speak your language. I'm Namor. I'm this. You come to me type of thing. More alpha. So that was that, and of course the biggest problem that I had was people talk about representation and the power of imagery, right? We at this current state in this country, we see a lot of brown people, right? Crossing the border, as harrowing as that is, however you feel about it, the human story is that we see these brown people crossing a river, sometimes coming out of a river, submerged in water with their their personal, effects, maybe even a kid. We don't know their stories, but we know it's a problem, right? As far as there's just a lot of them coming. And then you can get political. That's your stake. But what I'm referring to is images in media. Images in media. So it's a thorn in a sense of like, those people, I look like some of those people, right? So, I get it. On a human level, where it's a harrowing thing that's happening. Now, I say all that because not once, not twice, maybe 3 or 4 times, you see this brown man, this, very striking looking man, just really good looking dude, and he's in shape. He's not the Namor comic book shape, but he's in shape. This brown man coming out of the water several times, very wet. And the key to stopping Namor, let's dry him out. We're going to find a vacuum and dry him out to where he cannot be strong anymore. They literally have shots of his back several times. Now, am I seeing too much into this? That's just me. I'm just one person. But, whether I'm from, I'm born and raised here, several generations, that word is still thrown out to me. It's been a while, but I've been called that. I've been called wetback. Let's just be real, right? No one likes that word. It's not like the N word to where, and I bring it up. It's not like the N word where the African American culture uses it amongst themselves, right? We don't use wetback amongst ourselves. We don't do that. There's other jokes we have, but we don't. We're jokers in our own sick, twisted way. But I go back to this because if we're so hung up on image and representation, why was the biggest Latino superhero to date on MCU had this continual motif of a back who's wet, and to stop him, we're gonna dry him out. And also, too, how did he get into our country? How did he cross our borders? How did he cross this river? Those are lines in the movie. I'm not making this up. Now, I ask you this. If those same lines were said by white people, let's say the Wakandans were white, it wouldn't fly. It wouldn't fly.
That movie would get tore apart.
So that's my nutshell review. And you know what? I'm not happy to be saying any of this. Nate knows I went into this with a lot of enthusiasm. I've been covering this for over a year and a half because I believe in Tenoch as an actor. I do think it's important for authentic representation that's organic. So I give the example that a lot of the times of Narcos Mexico, because they are stereotypes to the nth degree, but everyone's a drug dealer in these shows. But the human story is so riveting that they take they take those stereotypes to tell you a bigger story, which is the human story. When there's a half measure done, and I believe this is a half measure at the end of the day, then it's a stereotype. It's a souvenir trinket. It's an Aztec headdress that doesn't look right.
And what did you think of the end of the film? You alluded to being dried out and stuff. What did you think of the end of the film, the sort of final fight?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he Well, what happens is that um, Namor impales Shuri. And even with his super strength, he's he's still dried out because they crash landed in the take him to the desert. He's escaping. He's getting out. Take the because they were in like one of their Wakanda flyers.
Almost sounds like a comedy film.
He's take him to the desert. I mean, take him to the desert, right? So now you have a Mexican. Like, let's be real. You have got him like a Mexican-looking guy in the desert, dried out, and he wants to get water. And the unfunny part about this is that real people die every day trying to cross this border because of heat exhaustion, right? It is a crisis that our government has turned its back on. Its own elected officials who are on the border saying, "Hey, I'm a Democratic mayor from oh God, I forgot what city of this Democratic mayor. We're in a crisis. People are dying, right? So these are real things here, right? That we deal with as far as issues, and you see this on film, and then Shuri somehow takes the spear out. She's okay. I'm gonna do a flip over Namor, and I'm gonna burn him.
Oh, so she was Reva 2.0.
I mean, it was like worse than Reva because it literally looked like she got Vlad impaled. Like she was all like hunched over. It was pretty graphic. Reva, like, okay, I kind of she got stuck a little bit. Maybe she's a Sith. I don't know. But she does a flip over. She burns it and she clips his wings. So Namor is literally clipped, if you know what I mean. And he bends the knee to Wakanda. Would never have happened. Namor, in truth, as Namor, would never bend the knee to any nation. He would have had to knock his ass out. You would have had to knock his ass out. And that's and by the way, at that point, Wakandan, warriors, we're all the men. We're all the men. We're all the tribes. They got their asses kicked. They were getting their asses kicked, and then Namor shows up. Hey, we're friends now. Stop.
So give the movie a rating out of 10.
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Brutal.
3 out of 10.
Oh,
yeah.
But honestly, I think thank you for the Latino perspective, your Latino perspective, should I say, on the movie. We'll stop briefly now, get to some super chats, and then I want to touch back on the end of the film because I think, Nick, you'll have some interesting points to sort of chip in on this. Even though you haven't seen it, we'll obviously talk through it and you'll be like, what? You'll see what I mean. Transcendent Studios for $2. Paulie, you might want to chime in here as well. Said Namor represented Mayan traditions, not modern folks. Did Namor represent Mayan traditions?
Well, look, Mexican Iron Man. This is the beauty of Mexicans, people from Guatemala. That's where the Mayas were, right? Is over 500 years now. There's been such a mix that, like I said, you're unless your indigenous DNA, you could be Mayan, you could be Nahuatl, you could be Zapotec, you could be there's so many indigenous tribes still in Mexico. I mean, just Nahuatl alone, 2 million people still speak Nahuatl. So, like I said, to some Mexicans, maybe hearing the Mayan language, but Mexican Iron Man, who's got a Mayan connection, even with his last name, he was not happy with it. He was not happy with it.
His rant was actually pretty epic about it. Actually, I actually had some buddies of mine here in Birmingham. We have a group chat between us. Actually, sent that video of Mike ranting, and I was like, I know that guy. I know these people in this video, like they randomly came across it and watched it and thought it was hilarious.
Damn. Tom working for $5 says, sorry, let's get simple. What would have been a better cultural transposition of what essentially DC's Aquaman? They got Maori culture, phoned it in. What would have been a better cultural transposition of what essentially DC's Aquaman? They got Maori culture, phoned it in. Did DC's Aquaman have Maori culture? I didn't think they did. Did they? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well,
But you are right. Like,
no, the dad.
oh
was.
yeah, of course
the dad
it
was great.
Yeah.
Tamora Morrison.
Yeah, and that, I guess that was.
But
was that pretty? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I think it was just more of a like your. I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. I don't know how much more they put in, but it seemed enough for a fantasy film, for a superhero film. You know what I mean? And I think their retelling of Aquaman as an Pacific Islander was pretty cool.
Yeah,
was really cool. I mean, and you have Momoa, so
Well, it wasn't trying, I guess, to be something that it wasn't in the respect of creating a new culture. It just was. You knew what they were, and they were that. I guess. It was. Yeah,
correct.
A little bit different.
It wasn't so self-absorbed.
Tom Working says Marvel phoned it in bare minimum. I think that's pretty accurate. I think they did phone it in with this. Again, it's that half measure situation. Nikki says Paulie is right. They focus so much on not being racist that they play right into the stereotypes. Namor jumped the metaphorical border. Well, also the literal border in the film. He jumped a literal border in the film. So metaphorically, yeah. But I mean, literally, he was crossing borders and breaking into countries. Like you literally had the Queen of Wakanda going, how again, there was lines in the film, like how did they cross the border? How did he get in? How did he cross the border? In here? It's like, come on now.
Again, there was nothing subtle about that.
No,
perhaps in your storytelling, if you were subtle, then it would have been like, a lot more dynamic and you're telling a better story. Which again, I'm in shock with that Ryan Coogler took this route.
Yeah.
He's professed, he has Latinos in his family. I was like, okay, well, cool.
I don't think that stands for
I wonder how they felt about the movie.
Well, I'm sure they loved it.
Paulie, what is this? Nikki says I call him
I call him Qualikitaka. Polish Qualikitaka. Is that? I should get it. Why have I? Okay, give me a second.
I mean, I try. I mean, I know I'm Latinx, all right, and I would try to say this, but I don't want to embarrass you, all right, with my epic pronunciation.
I wouldn't even attempt to try to say it. Because
us from the Latinx community.
No. Stop it.
That's why Paulie doesn't recognize it.
Exactly.
No, I think it's the name of a song, but I'm trying to get it.
Oh, that's gold. Phantasm for $5 says Namor was based on Grecian. It was Grecian Roman myth. Winged sandals of Hermes and set in Atlantis, but Marvel didn't want conflict with DC's Aquaman. I just think that's such a pathetic reason. Nikki does clear it up, says Paulie, it's the song. What song is that?
Exactly. Oh, it's a badass merengue. Yeah. Put it on mixed bud. It says it. Oh man, you see women dance like that? Shoo, come on now. Put that song.
Dance like what? Sorry, do you want to do that again? Just so
Somebody's clipping this right now.
There's a video meme of the U.S. presidents. I love that song. Singers Toño Rosario, yeah. Blue Vega. All the Latinos are now like, hey man, that song, eh?
Oh dear God. Listen.
Why? Don't be hating. Don't be hating.
Man, I'm not hating, clearly. I'm having a ball with this. It's gold.
I'm not hating, clear.
Oh, it's made me sweat. Right, anyway.
I'm gonna get the sound for you. Hold on.
It's the little dance.
Badass song, dude.
I haven't looked at it, yeah. Are you putting a song on? What are you doing? Are you sharing a song? It was comedy gold.
Somebody in chat says Mr. H needs some Latinx mixed CDs sent to him.
I'm all Latinx. I'm amazing.
Okay, here we go. At the one, here we go. Let me see if it's there. If you want, go ahead and put it at the 1 minute and 25 mark, and be warned.
Oh, just share your share. Can you share?
Right.
Or not?
Yeah,
I don't know if
sure
you
can.
Oh yeah, I got it right here.
Oh goodness me! Only quickly get copyright claimed.
All right, you guys ready? Guys, here comes the merengue heat. Dominican, baby.
I fast forwarded to 55 seconds in.
That is a hugely popular song. I mean, every Latino wedding, quinceañera, gathering, we play that song. It's a badass song. There you go. Wepa. Eso. Sas, 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 sas. We're going to get real Latin right now. Fuck.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's incredible.
Where are all the Latin ladies dancing?
Oh, goodness.
I'd bother Romy, but, there's not enough room here. I need to get the camera up. We can see her dance.
That dude's got some cool dreads going.
He's got some.
Don't say that's cultural appropriation. Someone will say, I'm sure.
What?
Oh, goodness. God,
share.
So
the sharing is caring.
Oh, so funny. Right. Okay. Compose myself.
We got Mr. H.
Right. Compose myself. Right. So I want to talk about the end of the film, I guess. I want to talk about loads of things about this film, to be fair. But I think, Nick, it'd be good to get your opinion on this as well, because just as a recap, you've seen Black Panther 1, haven't you, Nick?
Yeah. I thought the first movie was fine. I wasn't like in love with it, but I wasn't like, God, that was trash. Like I was like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Okay, so you remember how Killmonger, fought with T'Challa in that film, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
At the end,
yeah, at the end.
And Paula, you remember this as well, don't you? Killmonger fought with T'Challa at the end. Does anyone remember how Killmonger died?
Ooh.
Did he get stabbed?
Yeah,
he
that's
gets
what
stabbed.
I was thinking.
He gets stabbed. Yeah, he gets stabbed.
Oh, but Shuri, she gets stabbed and she's okay.
She gets stabbed as well, doesn't she?
No, she gets impaled. There's a difference between
impaled. Yeah,
getting impaled.
She doesn't just get in one end out the other. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to tell you. She gets Vlade the Impaler stabbed.
Seems a bit like a plot hole, don't you think? So she gets literally all the way through her.
Was it like Tony Stark in Infinity War, where it's kind of on his side, or is it like right in the middle?
Oh yes,
I'm gonna
like
look for an image. I'm gonna look for an
Okay.
image.
it's through serious organs. Like we're talking all the way through her, out the other end. It's real bad. Like we're talking pretty severe damage being done. You know, and she snaps the front end off and pulls herself off the other end of the spear, so she could sort of, because she's impaled on a rock, so she gets out and gets the spear off of her that way. And then as she comes out, the suit just sort of, well, you can see the suit healing, but her skin heals up as well by the looks of it. There's no blood, obviously, because, you know, why would there be? But it seems like a massive plot hole, don't you think? Anyone thought that was a bit odd? That just
Sounds
sort of
like
happened?
it from what you're describing to me, for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to find some images.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see an image of that. I don't know what this deal is with people getting stabbed here lately in entertainment and surviving it. I mean, the Tony Stark, when he got stabbed, was kind of somewhat believable because he was like, you know, down in pain, and then he was trying to fix himself up, and it was on the side, you know, on his side, so it wasn't like, you know, right in the middle. But like Reva and then Shuri here, I don't know. I guess women just
They just
die.
take stabbing. They just, you know, can take a stabbing, I guess, can't they, women?
Yeah. Is that a more metaphor? Take a stabbing?
You can read into that however you like, good sir. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Women lately in movies can take a stabbing, it seems.
Yeah, they have been big time. Big old stabbings, left and right.
Big stabbings. Huge. How is the audience score 95%?
Well, that's not changed. That's not changed at all, by the way. That audience
No.
score has not changed one bit, which is often, I mean, that's awfully suspicious, I'm not going to lie.
It's like a
Very
Democratic
suspicious.
vote.
Oh, God, don't say that. People will be up in arms. Jesus, Paulie, come on now.
Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
But I also, so that is one of many plot holes, I think. There's no explanation as to why, you know, she can get stabbed and be absolutely fine. And whereas Killmonger dies, you know, I mean, that's literally how he dies, and he appears in this film, which is, you know, his appearance was fine and all that. But that's a pretty major plot hole. The other plot hole I found with the end of this film, how did they get back? So, Paulie, you know, they come back on, you know, on a plane, don't they? You know, a little Wakandan plane.
Thing. Mm-hmm.
Well, it fucking blown up, hadn't it?
Well, I mean, she probably could have called another one. Wasn't there like two in the air?
From where?
I don't know, man.
It's
At
worth,
that point, I
worth
was just like,
thinking
please
about
end
it.
this thing.
It's worth thinking about. And you are right. Well, the other major plot hole which I found, and you alluded to this in your review anyway, you're not alluded to it, but you know, you said, why didn't T'Challa go out with a big blaze of glory? Well, yeah, sure, I get that. They should have done that anyway. That's being respectful to the character. Because the way they killed him off with this mysterious disease and words, actual lines of dialogue were, he suffered in silence. You know, if I'd had more time, perhaps I could have saved him, right? If you told me sooner, perhaps I could have saved him. So that's actual dialogue. That's awful.
Yeah,
so
it was his fault.
Yeah, literally his fault. He's too proud, right?
Too proud.
So, you know, that's disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman, but it's also shit for the character. So in an effort to try to pay tribute to all of that, they disrespect not only the character, but also Chadwick Boseman. But because they went down that route, it does actually create a plot hole. Why didn't they just cryogenically freeze him like they did with the Winter Soldier?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, and give her time to come up with a
Yep.
solution. And hey, we'll work on it. You're gonna go in the freezing chamber. We'll get you out when we're ready.
There's a pretty major plot hole. Pretty major plot hole. Now, the other plot hole, not necessarily a plot hole, but I guess kind of a plot hole. Wakanda was landlocked in the first film. Like it was in centralized Africa. Like it was pretty far in, wasn't it? It was a landlocked nation. How did Namor swim there? Why is there suddenly now oceans or ocean and tributaries that could go all the way to Wakanda? That wasn't there before.
Well, I mean, Mexicans are very resourceful. I mean, I will say that. So never underestimate us.
So they can move oceans
or
right
sea.
up to it.
I'm gonna get canceled on so many levels.
Yeah,
I love it.
You are white passing Latino, remember?
White passing Latino over here. Colonized mind.
But so I thought that to be a pretty another key plot hole in the first film. Nick, do you remember how T'Challa and you, Paula, as well? Do you remember how T'Challa flew in on the plane into Wakanda and the force field came down? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was the whole basically all of Wakanda's hidden. You can't see it. You got to fly through it, and then of course at the end, the ships came down that had the big force field around it. Yeah.
But you remember like how they sort of crossed the force field, don't you? Just sort of dematerialized and sort of closed back out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like a hole sort of thing. Well, what if I told you, Nick, that they didn't do that in this one? Right. What if I told you they didn't do that in this one? And in this one, this incredibly high-tech civilization, forget the first one, this high-tech civilization, they don't press a button to open the force field. What they do in this one, and it's still a ship just flying in, but what they do in this one, Nick, what if I told you water drums come up out the floor and two men play them like bongos, and the force field opens up because they play the drums?
What?
That's literally in the film.
Oh my god, how dumb. What would be why does the two guys have to play drums? I mean, it was fine the way it was in the first film. It's there, only the people that know about it are there, knows that it's there, so they know they can fly through it. Now there's some sort of special drum key.
And going back to the landlocked thing as well, apparently now they have a beach where Angela Bassett can meet up with Namor.
Got a big beach.
Huge, beautiful beach. Looks like Puerto Rico.
Like sort of Saharan sands almost, wasn't it?
Right.
Here's a literal map of where Wakanda is. So it's not far from Uganda. This is Wakanda, and there's no ocean. This is all land. It looks like there's a lake right here, but it's isolated. It's not like going anywhere else.
It's almost like you'd have to cross some deserts to get there, isn't it?
Yeah,
to cross that border.
Crossing deserts and the border. What?
Yeah.
And then another big thing I mentioned was, how did Wakanda create a navy and have a badass submarine?
But they only had one. Why is the Wakanda Navy only got one ship?
One sub.
Literally, they just got one.
It like pops out of nowhere. Like, okay, everyone get in. We're gonna go.
Yeah, like
Mexican ass.
Wow. So where do they keep that thing docked?
Underwater.
In that little lake, I think.
Little lake, river, ocean, beaches. Wakanda has it all. Come to Wakanda. We'll create whatever you want. We'll make shit up.
it just seems like a lot of this is just a lot of laziness on the writers.
And the writer is Ryan Coogler, who wrote the first one as well.
with this
God.
writing buddy. Yes.
So you think to yourself, really, just how much attention these idiots, pay to what they actually write and create, because it's not
And
much.
you know what? Thinking about that
If-
as well, just by all of a sudden having ports,
Mm,
oceans, waters, there is no way you can be disconnected from the outside world. And
Yeah.
colonizers would have come.
Yeah, no way.
You know, I'm just saying it's not impossible, but to stay, completely, separate from the world. But that's just like a total different thing. And then someone
mm.
brought a good point up in here, and this is I'm trying to find it. Here we go. Let me copy and paste it. So there's an Aztec rain god that already exists, right? His name is Tlaloc, and that's where they got Telocan. That's where they got
Right.
Telocan. And Tlaloc has a spear, a trident, right? This is in Aztec lore. He strikes it down, lightning comes, floods, water.
Mm.
That would have been dope. Why didn't they
Yeah, Namor is the rain serpent god. I thought he was going to flood Wakanda by rainstorm. Budgie
that
cat.
would
Yeah,
have
that's a
made so
good
much
point.
sense.
Yeah, it would have actually. And I think, yeah, you're right. So another quick plot hole that I want to dive into, and I do think it's a plot hole, because you said about his name, and this goes to what we've just said there about his name. He had a mother. She wouldn't have called him a god, would she? Do you think? Like I don't think she would have called him a god. Surely she would have given him a name. And I find this to be a really odd. It's an odd. I went about this in my review, and I don't understand it. Is that he goes by the name Namor, yet he's lived with his mother until she's old enough to die of old age. She died of natural causes, old age. She died. I would imagine she gave him a name. One would imagine, but when they go to bury her, some rando Spaniard, conquistador, whatever, calls this guy Sin, whatever it is, Namor, whatever, the boy without love. Apparently, the translation doesn't even make sense. Anyway, whatever, I don't know. I'm not Latino, I'm Latinx. Forgive me. So he then goes, I'm going to call myself Namor from now on. Why would you do that? Surely you'd be like, no, I love my mum. I've just buried her. I'm not the boy without love. I've just been with my mother up until she died. She loves me. Is it only me that finds that an odd origin of the name, which they forced into this because they've swapped the ethnicity out and changed the culture of this character? Because that's why he has this name. They've had to think of an origin, and that's the origin that they've come up with. But I feel like it's a really shit origin and doesn't make any sense, Paulie.
Yeah, well, it's half-ass. It's a half measure origin. I mean, as a whole, it's not well thought out. I actually didn't think of that until you brought it up. What did his mother call him? And he was with his mother for many years. It's not like she died a horrible death.
No, she died of old age. Just slow and
She
steady.
died of old age. She wished to be buried back up in in her homeland, which I was like, okay, I can respect. It's kind of weird, the whole thing's weird. Right? But yeah, what is his name? Now, if his mom did consider him a god because he was a mutant, he came out with the he was born with a mutation with the winged feet. That kind of makes sense. Then you call him Kukulkan. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. That works. That actually does work, right? But at no times was he without love. His mother loved him. His people loved him. He loves his people. It was so stupid. So what happens is that they come up. He's lived. Let's just say he's probably lived about 40, 50 years by now, and he still looks like 11. His mom has died of old age, and they bring her back to bury her. And he sees this hacienda and the Spanish conquistadores. This is like, I want to say what, 1590, let's say early 1600s, around there.
Yeah, I think they had the date on the screen, but it's whatever.
That was when he was born. So we're like years later, right? So
okay,
yeah. So it's a hacienda, and you see Mayans shackled, and the whips going and all that stuff. And I guess they start. What, I forgot what set him off. Was him?
He saw them. No, so someone said, whose child is this? To some of the other Mayans, and then they were like, no idea. I think one of them got whipped, and so he then nothing really set them off. They just killed everyone basically.
Mike's in the chat.
Do you remember, Mike, happened.
What set him off? He gets set off, and he basically
flies in the sky.
It shows the little kid flying, which I thought was kind of cool. But then you're made to believe that Namor just torched and killed all the Spanish people, and the hacienda's on fire. And then the priest was saying, "You're a child of the devil.
Yeah,
you're a child without love." And that's where it came from.
So, are they actually introducing mutants in this movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He's the first one. Well, him and now Miss Marvel.
Okay.
Where they've said the word mutant, some mutation. No, they call him a mutant.
Okay.
So, so then they bury the mom, but then I'm like, well, how come he didn't say, hey, Mayan former slaves, come back to Talocan. I have a society. We have something completely different. Eat of this herb and come follow me.
Yeah, that was a bit odd. Well, no, because I don't think they had any more of the herb.
Oh,
it was only the one thing, apparently. Yeah, but again, that's
really.
So they used all of the herb on like 10 people.
It was so stupid.
And then, so they used all of the herb on 10 people, and those 10 people spawned thousands of Talocan. I mean, that's some inbred stuff going on right there, mate. That's a genetic.
That's right.
No, but it's true, though. That's a genetic dead end for inbreeding at that point, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, that's a plot hole right there.
There's some major plot holes with
the
order, and there shouldn't be, right? Because
but it's because they're shoehorning this origin, because they chose to change the character's race, ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, culture and stuff, and because they're trying to shoehorn that in.
No, Nate,
and they haven't actually thought about it correctly.
I don't. No. Listen, it's because they did it half-ass.
Okay, that's what I mean. They haven't thought about it. The lore is
already there. If you're going to change it, at least hit the lore, right? I just told you they had a god already set up. And the fact is, even though a lot of the indigenous population was decimated, they still survived. They still live. We still have Mayas with us. We still have Nahuatls with us. Like so that's your origin story.
Yeah,
that's your origin story. And or it could have been a thing where it's like, you know what, we were down here for thousands of years, and we just didn't want to be involved in your surface wars. That's Namor. As long as you didn't bother my world, my kingdom, I don't care what you're doing up there. As soon as you start in on my territory, I'm gonna come up.
Yeah.
And sorry about that.
No. Yeah, multiple plot holes. Let's get us some more super chats real quick, guys. If you are watching this and you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do. Would really appreciate it. And if you want to support, you've enjoyed this, super chats go a long way. So thank you so much. Al Humphreys for £5 says, "Is there a metal version of that Paulie?" What is? Oh, a metal version of the song. That'd be quite funny if there was like a heavy metal version.
I would actually listen to that.
Mexican Iron Man for $4.99 says, Mr. H, my Mexican bluefish brethren need support in our war against the Wakanda superpower. Please send more water grenades and seashell face masks. Oh dear, that's the other thing. Yeah, they used water grenades. I didn't mind that. I thought interesting that that's the route that
There's
they went
water
with it.
grenades.
Yeah,
It's so funny talking about this film that someone hasn't seen it, like describing it.
because they're just like, what?
Water
We see it all play
grenades?
out.
Like
They
like
fly
water
now?
balloons.
They fly now?
Yeah, kind
They
of like
fly
water
now.
balloons, actually, aren't they, Paulie? They are kind of like water
They're
balloons.
water balloons. That's what Mexican Iron Man
Wow.
was cracking up on.
Oh
Wow.
dear.
Ugh.
I know. Phantasm for $5 says Namor shouldn't be weak to being out of water since he isn't dependent on water. Kind of like Blade, all strengths, few weaknesses. But again, they're not
Absolutely.
following the law.
So
They're not following
they
the
made
law.
him almost like have the same weaknesses as like a mermaid. Like you can't be out of the water too long. You're gonna get dried out.
Yeah, I guess
Right,
so. Yeah,
even though there
it
was
is, yeah.
numerous times where he was out of the water for a while.
Mm.
And he's actually a mutant, so he can breathe air. But also too, if you're gonna get if it's a thing where your cells are taking in moisture, right, or taking in the oxygen, like it's opposite. Underneath, they're taking in oxygen, you can breathe and talk. Above, you're taking in water to stay moisturized. So once he's out of that ship, because they actually had him in the ship, they had like a
It's like
dryer.
heaters. Yeah,
They had heaters on him.
like hair dryers.
What? Wakandan hair dryer.
It's like a broiler. He was
Wow.
under the broiler.
Yeah. But once you're out of that and you're in the atmosphere, the atmosphere has what, guys? Water.
Yeah, you're right.
So stupid.
But also, you'd think. Here's the other thing that doesn't make too much sense. You'd think that because he's under the heaters, he's getting heat, so he's going to sweat. So he's going to have water on him.
Right.
No, like.
Well, listen, this goes back to recast T'Challa, man. They just would have had some badass fights like they had in the comics.
Yeah.
I would have been down for that. I mean, they did the same thing with Rhodes after the first Iron Man, and nobody was really complaining about that.
Well, they've recast General Thunderbolt Ross as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Him off.
Yep.
Just get Harrison Ford. Why not?
Yeah.
3 times, right? 3 times.
Yeah. Comrade Commissar Yuri sent £1.79. Says films comments towards T'Challa was a dig at Chadwick. Yeah, I mean, it can seem that way. I mean, the whole sort of suffering in silence thing, I just thought it came off as massively disrespectful. And loads of people are like, yeah, well, Chadwick Boseman didn't really want people to know about it. I'm like, so do whatever the fuck he wants. Like it was it was whatever he was going through. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like, so why does it, why should the film show that as well? Like that's almost, it's done in a very disrespectful way as well. So I don't get it.
I did see the images that you were referring to last week with the with T'Challa on it that was very similar to the George Floyd stuff and all that in the movie. I mean, almost the exact same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought that was massively distasteful.
Yeah.
Night King sent $4.99. Says, you agreeing with the people saying Angela Bassett should win an Oscar? It's a stretch considering her actual Oscar-worthy roles, like in Malcolm X. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. I don't think that was an Oscar-worthy performance. I think the problem is with this film is, you know, the question is, should Angela Bassett win an Oscar? And I think no, because she's a good actor in a crap film, and she's giving a good performance in a crap film. So she stands out because of it. But is the performance Oscar worthy? I simply don't. I don't agree. I don't think it's
She's
Oscar
good.
level. Yeah, she's good. Yeah, exactly. She's good. But is it Oscar level? No. I think it's.
And then they kill her.
Oh,
That's so stupid.
me.
They fucking kill her.
Oh, they kill her?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm literally probably never gonna watch this movie. I can't believe they kill her off in this movie.
Yeah, she drowns.
She drowns.
Wow.
Saving Riri.
Wow.
Yeah, saving the character everyone hates as well. Awful.
Give me Angela Bassett and her character in this over Riri in Ironheart any day.
And you know who I thought was great, who they should have had more of, was Lupita, who is an Oscar-winning actor as well.
I thought she was fine in this. Again, I didn't think I thought her performance was good. I didn't think it was a standout. And again, Angela Bassett's performance, it's a good performance, and I think it's only a standout because she's one of the best actors in the film.
I think most of the actors are really good. They rose above.
Do you really? Because I think Shuri. Really. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up. Because I think.
All right, dude. All right, calm down.
I think Shuri, Letitia Wright, I think she did a good job. I don't think, again, it was a standout performance. I think it was pretty good. I think she's, who felt like the lead in this? Who took the lead?
Well, that's the problem.
Performance-wise.
Who took the lead? Every hour they changed off.
Yeah, true. I don't know. But I don't think Angela Bassett should win an Oscar. No, I don't agree that that's, again, as Night King says, considering her actual Oscar-worthy roles, like in Malcolm X. Yeah, no, it's night and day difference.
What's love got to do with it?
Yeah, like I think we're talking about like night and day performances. She's good in it. I don't think it's Oscar-worthy though.
The movie has to be a hit for it to be considered. Like the way the first Black Panther was.
Yeah. Bear Tiger Evil Laugh. Brilliant name. Says no more, nah, more, no more, no more. Please Disney, no more. For $9.99. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you very much for joining the conversation as well. Thank you to everyone supporting the channel, supporting the stream with your super chats, and to everyone thumbs upping the video. It goes a long way. It does actually help the video out. I will say as well, ladies and gents, if you haven't already, the second channel in the description box, Mr. H Reviews Live Archives, please do hit subscribe to that, and please do turn the bell notifications on, because we put out all the clips. These are long streams, like hour and a half, 2 hours. You can't watch them all. I get it, but I cut it into clips, so you can kind of watch it in a more digestible, bite-sized chunk. So hit subscribe over there. Al Humphrey says, I buy that for $1, Paulie. Loving your air guitar, sir. Obviously in reference to the heavy metal version.
Thank you.
So Nick, my dude, I'm aware you've got to bugger off real quick, haven't you, my dude?
I do. Unfortunately.
No, it's all good. Thank you for dropping by all the same.
Yeah, I'll be listening. I'll see you guys Thursday.
Thursday it is.
Yeah,
good,
man.
Sir. Take care. And everyone check out Echo Base Network in the description box and hit subscribe.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I'll see y'all Thursday.
All right, buddy.
Take care.
All right, later.
Take care. So, yeah, I mean,
we got like still over 400 people in the chat. We got
loads of
55
people.
likes. Thank you so much. Amazing.
Yeah, good. Good like to live viewer ratio. Do appreciate that. Yeah, so okay, we've got another super chat dropping in. Night King says, just need to say this with the fact that they recast William Hurt and didn't recast Chadwick. Hurt was arguably more famous amongst film lovers. Yeah, you are right. Like, yeah, William Hurt he's had a longer career, much more notoriety. Maybe not as potentially as quick. Not as quick as recent, I guess. More as it wasn't as there wasn't as much notoriety as recently as, say, Chadwick in Black Panther. But yeah, you are right. Him being recast, William Hurt as General Thunderbolt Ross. It's an odd one. It does seem oddly strange that they chose to recast other pivotal characters, but not this one. And I have yet to hear anyone in mainstream media actually put this to individuals like Kevin Feige or Ryan Coogler and ask exactly why they chose not to do that. I mean, it does seem odd
they'll
though,
say
right?
it's to honor Chadwick, and it's like
What about
it's to
William
honor.
Hurt though? Like,
Oh, William Hurt.
that's
Oh,
what I
well,
mean. Yeah, like why is one recast and not the other? I guess is the point. You know, what's the reasoning? What possibly could they give?
well, they gave the
Reasoning
reason that
wise.
he was so like synonymous with T'Challa, and it's too soon. Which I could think that that's maybe the kind of the emotional, grieving answer. That first year, that year's gone. Let's recast and let's tell some great stories. That's what Chadwick would have loved. I think this is going to go down as one of the biggest blunders in Hollywood.
Well, so do you think this is I mean this is the end of phase 4, isn't it? This film is the end of phase 4, and I think this film perfectly encapsulates phase 4 on a whole. Disjointed, no lead, right? Because remember the original Avengers Infinity Saga always had lead through characters. And I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever perfectly encapsulates how shit phase 4 really is. Disjointed, no lead, poor direction, superfluous side characters who are only added in so they can have their own Disney Plus series. I mean, Wakanda Forever
social
is
and political
literally
agendas in storytelling.
Yeah, massive amounts of that.
That's probably trumps anything, which I think would be why you could say they didn't recast T'Challa and they took this opportunity to make it more female empowerment.
Well, so that's the other thing, yeah. So this film, again, going on that sort of through line of perfectly encapsulating phase 4 as a whole, the again throwing all males out and just having predominantly female leads. I mean, that was this movie through and through. And M'Baku's barely in this film. Yeah, sure, he gets to be king of Wakanda. Why doesn't he get to be Black Panther? Who's protecting Wakanda when the Black Panther's fucking off? Because that's what happens at the end of this film. Black Panther's gone. And this whole film was about the Black Panther being there to protect Wakanda. And she was like, Wakanda doesn't need a protector anymore. And so she finally decides that, yes, Wakanda needs the Black Panther, and then buggers off at the end of the film. What?
Winston Duke is fantastic, but
he's great.
They made him. M'Baku was an idiot. He was an arrogant idiot in this film, and that's not that was one facet early on in the film in Black Panther. There's many facets to M'Baku. He's a king of his tribe. No, man, no, that's bullshit. And then what's their job at the end? They're holding the ropes for the Dora, whatever you call them,
Malaja, whatever they're called,
where they can fly over and fight the blue people, Mexicans.
Yeah. So these massive dudes are not there to actually beat anyone up. They're just there to help the women.
Yeah, they're holding ropes.
Fuck this film. This film really.
Who thought of that battle plan, man? It's like, front line, flanks. Come on, man. Who's the general there? Let's go down on the side. And yeah, man.
It's just, this film really does perfectly encapsulate Marvel Phase 4. And also, bookends, I can't remember even what the first movie was in Phase 4. I mean, there's been like 15 movies, right, in Phase 4. And it's the most forgettable phase of the MCU we've had. And
yeah, if you're including the television shows too.
Yeah, like it's all pretty forgettable, right? I
liked one show. I liked one show through and through.
What did you
like? Miss Marvel. I really adored Miss Marvel, but it was like,
I didn't watch it. I watched the first one, hated it.
So I'm comparing it to the other ones, which were just bad. Some I just stopped
Right.
watching. I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. It was very endearing. I'm not so sure it was much of a superhero movie. It's more as like a coming of age kid, discovered
Right.
powers, loves her families, at odds with her religion, but I thought it was a really good beginning, middle, and end as far as a season of television. But that's not saying much
Mm. But
compared to
this is the thing,
everything
yeah. I mean,
else.
if you can only point to one thing that you liked going all the way through in this sort of Marvel Phase 4 as a series, that's not good either. But
Well, you know what else is not good, Nate? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Other movies that I just refused to see.
the
Thor: Love
Eternals,
and Thunder, The Eternals.
yeah, I put off watching Thor: Love and Thunder, and I didn't enjoy that one bit. It was the thing about this is that you know, I want to see strong female characters. We had strong female characters in the first Black Panther, right? Like we had them.
Sure did.
It set them up, but you also had your strong male characters as well. And again, going back to Wakanda Forever being the representation of the MCU moving forwards, and also Phase 4, is that at the behest and expense of the male characters, the female characters have been lifted up to the forefront, and so all the males are now dumb. They're comic relief. They're being bossed around. And Baku's literally told what to do by Shuri at one point, shouted down. Um, and they're just there to, they're almost like a utility. They're a tool for the women to use. Again, the M'Baku's tribe, they're not fighting anyone. They're literally holding the ropes for the women, and it just doesn't work moving forwards because it's this homogenous, just girl power stuff, and I don't mind it. But there's a time and a place, and you can have girl power whilst also having male characters that young boys can look up to as well. But we don't.
Well, that
There's
was
none
Miss
of that.
Marvel. Miss Marvel was very, pro girl power, but she was a young teenager. She had crushes
Mm,
on dudes. She was a mess, and she had a good family.
mm,
She had a good dad. He was a great character. I think that resonated. Of any of those, that show resonated more with me than the other ones, which were just too much.
mm,
I mean, was it Nighthawk? What's his name? Hawkeye.
mm.
It becomes the girl story. Um, everything's transferred over. Everything's being transferred over.
Yeah. Well, it is as well. Like everyone that we did have is now having a female counterpart, which is then
Hmm.
leading
Everyone.
charge moving forwards. It's so bizarre. I mean, we haven't got it for Captain America yet.
Well, he's Sam.
So, well, we haven't got a female swap out yet. So that'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see if that
that
ever
might be hard to do
happens.
with a black man. Well, unless it's a black woman.
You never
So they're
know.
so they're
Never
doing with Black
know.
Panther.
It could be done. Could be done. I mean, he just dies of a mysterious disease off screen. Because why not?
Oh man.
Anyway, I think I think that's a good place to sort of rest on this, unless you've got
Hmm.
any further comment to sort of
I
throw
mean,
in
we
there
could.
about this film or anything like that.
No, I think besides a few nuggets, someone
Mm,
else mentioned Werewolf by Night. I did enjoy that as well.
mm,
Besides that, the majority of Marvel was very forgettable. Some bad storytelling, and that's it.
mm. Night King says, "Why do the conquistadors have Mayan slaves? The Mayans were wiped out 600 years before the Spanish set foot there. They weren't even a country yet."
I think you're thinking of Mayan kingdoms as far as civilizations that lived in cities. That's true.
Mm,
After the post classical period, they were just dispersed smaller villages, but they were still around.
mm,
They were still around. Um,
mm,
yeah, and they are still around. So but my bigger question is, why didn't Namor after he freed them, say, come with us.
Yeah, no, well, I couldn't help him. Doesn't have the heart-shaped herb, I guess. But then they had the breathing apparatus that they already had back then. Somehow.
But okay, so then basically they just let their kin, like, let them out to dry.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, I mean, that's what happened, bro.
It did. So I think that about wraps it up, ladies and gents. Paulie, what have you got? What have you got coming up?
Oh man, you know what? Two things. Oh, can I share a link?
Of course you can.
Guys,
I don't know if you can
tomorrow
share it
we
in
are
the chat.
in the
I'm not
chat.
sure if it'll work. Don't know if it'll work.
Oh, I'm a mod, so yeah. I'm having we are having our 3rd annual animal rescue shelter fundraiser tomorrow afternoon.
Definitely support that, everyone.
So
that's something to support.
if you guys can, it's the same time as now. So in 24 hours on my channel, guys, I'm gonna have well, Romy's gonna be hosting, and then we're gonna have a couple of actor friends coming on, including Emilio Rivera from Mayans MC. He's gonna be here. It's gonna be so cool. Raising money for this great cause. That's how we got our two
So it's an
puppies
animal
that are
shelter or a
rescued.
dog shelter? What is it?
It's an animal shelter. I mean, mainly it's a dog. Mainly they deal with
Okay.
dogs, but they deal with all kinds of animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone,
they're
ladies and gents in the chat, please do Latino Slant. You'll see it in the comments right now in the chat. Please do set this as a reminder. You guys know I've got, you know, my little boy Jasper, my little doggo. I'm big on animals, big on rescuing. It's only circumstantial that I got Jasper from a breeder. If not, I would have rescued him. And you know, I myself, I'm forever looking at these sort of like Romanian adoption dogs and stuff like that are all just awful stuff. You know, like if you can help facilitate an innocent animal having a better life, please do go and support that fundraiser. Would mean a lot to me personally, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to Paulie as well. So please do go and check that out. Again, it's in the comments right now in the chat. Set a reminder. You can do that on YouTube. Please do click that and set a reminder. And I hope to hear from Paulie that you guys absolutely smashed it with your contributions to that thing. That'd be great. That being said, again, from me, Paulie, thank you so much for joining. We stream Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you haven't already, hit subscribe to the second channel, Mr. H Reviews Live Archives. It's where these things are clipped and the streams go up after the fact as well. They're all in a playlist. But again, yeah, from me and Paulie, thank you so much. Take care.